Hey guys, wee hours of the morning here. Got my Nacet blade. I'm in a hotel, so the angle's a little weird because that is where the towel bar is. I'm going to be using this sample of Oleo Treviso. Took me a second to figure out what the scent smells like. It's supposed to smell like, what's that, 3-layer dessert. I never get it. But Italian, dessert. You know what this smells like? This soap smells like Tootsie Rolls. How about that? For the brush, we have I believe this is a Leo Frilot handle. Looks great. And this is a nice, look at that long loft. I think I'm going to like that. This is my first time trying it. This is an Elite Razors High Mountain White. Haven't tried that, not yet. Looking forward to trying it. And then we have a Vintage Slim Adjustable. Let me get this brush back in my little soap cup to let it soften up as much as it needs to. All right, we are at an 8 setting. I'm going to change that to a 9. These vintage adjustables have been giving me good shaves at the 9 setting with this old Nacet blade. Speaking of which, we are looking at this little blade right here. There's my 3 dots to show you it's the same blade. And even, well, yeah, back in this corner you can see the curve from that drop from use number 225, I think. So let's lock it down. The vintage adjustables have this locking feature where you tighten them down and then you give it one more quarter turn and it locks it down. All right. For the post shave, I've got an older product you don't see around as much anymore because it's been, I imagine it was pretty popular. This is the salve from Chatillon Luxe, and this is Bon Vivant. Now this gives me an impression of a gourmand or food type scent. I don't think it's supposed to, but it must have some vanilla or something like that. And so it gives me that just general feel. My mind doesn't have to go there, but for some reason it often does. And that's the theme of today's shave, is a gourmand scent. And that's why I am going to try the Treviso from Oleo. Yeah, it's a Tootsie Roll. It's supposed to be that dessert, Tiramisu. Yeah, that's it, Tiramisu. It's a Tootsie Roll. So let us scrape up what I think is about 1/4 teaspoon on the back of my thumbnail. Oleo is a nice lathering soap. I've enjoyed several different Oleo soaps over the last few years. My only complaint with a few of them has been that they were just very lightly scented. But I did keep a couple. Jacmel, Excursion, and I think I kept one more. What was it? Can't remember. Okay, just kind of pressing that guy in. Now, if you are a little bit anal retentive about your brushes and you have a light colored brush that you don't want to have darkened, I would use a different brush on this soap. Not because I know it for a fact, but sometimes these brown soaps that contain maybe a little vanilla or there's some special ingredient that does tend to give lighter colored brushes a little bit of bleed or darkening, staining. It's possible this may have that. Maybe it doesn't, but until you find out, I would be conservative. Use a synthetic or a brush you don't care as much about. Now, I think I'm going to really like this brush, but I just don't think the color is as much of a big deal. So I'm going to use this new cool brush that I have. Yeah, it's a Tootsie Roll. It's coming right up to my nose. All right, so this has had a chance to soak for just a little while. Hopefully it'll be enough. It's a gorgeous handle on this thing. Look at that. The curvy part here is just simply black. It's kind of a classic look to it. Just feeling it when dry, I get a good bit of backbone on this one. And so I'm glad for the long loft. Maybe that means it'll have a better chance of me enjoying it, but it's possible that it may be a little too high loft for me. Now this is a very comfortable hand. It's not a long handle, but it's a comfy one. You see my grip there? My middle finger along there, my thumb here, they're both resting in that saddle of this part of the grip. And then my pointy finger comes over that little ridge and rests up that way. I find that's a very common use. Sometimes I have more leverage. Instead of holding it both down here, a little bit less work to move that pointy finger up, even if it gets a little sudsy sometimes. And I can feel the backbone of this brush as I'm working it in the bowl here. And so this is definitely lightened up into an almost white, but it is definitely more brown than I often see. Oh, it's nice to be in a bathroom with a quiet faucet. My room for rent situation the last few days has been very noisy in the faucet department. Sorry about that. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon in. I got a feeling I loaded a little bit too much soap. Two teaspoons. This is a very dense lather right now. So I'm not hesitant to add the water in amounts of 1 teaspoon at a time, because we've got a little ways to go. I think I even see a little bit of soap left at the bottom of the bowl that hasn't been incorporated yet. Not much, but maybe a little. This does have some drag in this bowl. My guess is it's because it's, just so full of thick lather. Maybe it's because the somewhat small handle makes me feel the drag a little bit more than my typical large ergonomic handles do. 4 teaspoons in. Starting to look pretty good. Kind of like more like marshmallow cream than earlier. almost done with the lather games. Just a few more days. Let's feel of the lather. Oh yeah, that is creamy. Whew, man, I can feel that. Nice. So I believe this is use number 298, because we can see the 2 dots at the very end, which means that was 297 last time. Now, because of the viscosity I just felt, I'm going to keep on going. Now we've got 5 teaspoons in the lather. Looks pretty creamy and soft, but I got a feeling we need to hit it again. So that's 6. That's what happens when you load a lot of soap. You have to add more water. At least when you like your lathers like I like mine. I can feel the lather being a little bit less viscous. It's easier to move my brush through it. So you can, there are all kinds of senses that you can tap into here as you figure out how to gauge your lather. I'm going to have plenty of lather for this shave. Probably do a 4-pass just because I can. There we go. See, look at that. It's starting to collapse on itself. And this may even need a little bit more water still, but why not? Let's just use it. Okay, water on. Oh man, I forgot to put water on my face before I mix my lather. That usually serves to start to soften your bristles, your beard. This is a big knot, big display. Easy display though, so that's good. Pretty soft tips. Should have looked at my notes in case Oleo likes to be run a little drier than I usually do. It is kind of a short handle, and I'm discovering that it's not quite as easy to hold on to when everything's all soapy and wet. So we can just rinse that part off. All right. Should have dried out my goatee from the rinse, I think. Setting number 9. A little bit of tugging, but in general, very nice. And this is a very wet lather. Tugging is not uncomfortable. And there we go. Ooh, that feels good. It's very slick. It may look kind of thin, you know, when I put it on, but it's nice. Very slick, very slick. Make sure to rinse out my goatee this time. Looks like I like this High Mountain White quite a bit. Now look at how wet that is. This knot is so big, what I'm guessing is because I did rinse out my goatee, and so I know that extra wetness didn't come from my face. I think maybe inside that brush we've got a little bit more water that it didn't really mix in with the lather quite as much. Okay, cross grain. Very nice. Pause you from a rinse this time. And again, just a wonderful, slick, luxurious, creamy feeling during the rinsing. This is a really good soap. It has taken a slightly different turn in terms of the scent. No longer smells as much like Tootsie Roll. The sweetness is backed off just a little bit. And it's starting to smell a little bit more like a dry chocolate. So it's not quite so novelty right now. Yeah, there's definitely hidden water inside this brush. As I'm compressing it and moving it back and forth, that's what's causing all this. But Oleo is such a good soap that even when excessively watered, it performs well. Maybe Don Julio. That might be the third one I have from Oleo. As always, just keep a light touch. Well, just because this faucet is not as loud as my other one doesn't mean I need to subject you to it, right? All right, do a final rinse here. Well, I've got a good bit of lather left. Probably enough for 3 passes, something like that. At least 2. So I definitely used a little bit more soap than I needed to, but I'm happy with that kind of margin. Time to use the balm. This was very separated. This came from a batch that was made a few years ago that definitely separates with time and also heat. And so a lot of it, the thick stuff had gone to the bottom, and the thin, oily stuff was at the top. I just took a toothpick, just a little bit of mixing. It's all nice now. So let's get some. And now this stuff is a little special. You don't just put it on your skin right away. You work it. Now, the instructions say to work it in your palm, but I don't really like to do that because I can't really make my palm touch my face in as many places as I want. And so I kind of mix it on my fingertips because we want those little butters to melt because of my body heat. And there we go. Can't really see them anymore. And then just massage into the skin. For a person with oily skin like me, this is kind of an overkill. I don't really need something this effective at moisturizing. But it's kind of a, since these balms aren't really available anymore, it's kind of a throwback to old times. All right, well, this Bon Vivant scent definitely goes with the chocolate nature of this soap. The soap is lightly scented during use. Maybe a 4 out of 10 in terms of scent strength. I think we're good. First impression of this brush, very, very nice. I may want to, because of that long loft and that ability to hold water, I may want to plunge it a little bit more, press down in there while I'm mixing up in the bowl to make sure that the really wet center core gets a chance to mix up with some lather and soap, fairly and homogeneously. 6 teaspoons of water for that much soap. It's probably a little bit more than a 1/4 teaspoon would be my guess. Yeah, happy camper. So that's food day. That's gourmand day for the lather games. I don't know what is going to come next, but I'm traveling for the next 2 shaves. Is that right? No, I reckon just the next 1 shave, and then we'll be back at a normal location, and then after that, that'll be 300. How about that? Pretty crazy. I believe I've used a lot of my favorite razors during the lather games. I haven't been as picky about trying to strategize where to put razors in general. And so a lot of my favorites are already out of the picture because I'm using a different razor per day to get an extra point for the lather games. But I did find I wanted to include on purpose tonight, right before this shave, I went through with the razors that I have available, and I picked the 4 that I will use for the rest of the games. I had to pick the Slim because it is a traditional piece, so easy to obtain for most of us in the world, a reliable, smooth shaver that can go aggressive or mild. So I had to bring him in as well. I've got a 1936 Aristocrat to represent kind of the dawn of the twist to open razors. The first one piece ever made. Now the 34, of course, was actually the first one piece, but the 36 was a very good improvement on that just a couple of years later. So it's a nicer shaver. I've also got, I think, maybe a Gillette President. I just really enjoy that one. And the one that I believe I'm going to be using for the 300th shave is the one that started everything out with the Nacet a couple of years ago in August, is the Blackland Dart. And I definitely saved that one aside just in case. And it turns out that seems to be maybe the best option for the 300 shave. So I hope to figure out something special to do for the 300. I don't know what exactly, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. Maybe I'll juggle some straight razors or something like that. No. I think we're good. Man, that balm really goes well with the, it overwhelmed the chocolate of the Treviso. Treviso is definitely kind of a niche scent that if you want to smell like kind of a chocolate, a Tootsie Roll, kind of a dried out Tootsie Roll. That's good. Those words are a little bit less attractive than the scent actually is, but it is pretty simple scent. Dry cocoa kind of thing is how at least I'm perceiving it. But performance was excellent on this Oleo soap. So there we go. All right, guys. Hey, you take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope you stay safe with the COVID thing going on. We got that kind of a resurgence a little bit, but stay in if you can. Don't trust your masks is my advice. Don't let it make you complacent. Still stay away from folks. Still stay inside when you can. Be careful about touching your mask and then touching other things if you've been out in public a lot. Just be extra cautious. All right. Hope there has been something in this shave that is going to help you out. You take care. Good night.